I watched the silk-suited manager grip the old woman's arm like she was garbage. Out, now! His cologne burned my nostrils, expensive and sharp. She didn't resist, just looked at him with those clouded eyes, confused, maybe scared. The other waiters pretended not to see. I felt my hands go cold. That's when I knew whatever happened next would cost me everything. If you're new here, please subscribe. This channel is just starting, and every day we'll bring you real stories about real people, the kind that remind us why kindness still matters. Now let me tell you what happened that night. My name is Manuel. I'm 24, and before that evening, I'd worked at Restaurante Mirador for 3 years. Long enough to know every scratch on the marble floors, every fake smile in the dining room. The place pretended to be fancy. Chandeliers that hummed when the AC kicked in, white tablecloths that stained if you breathed wrong, clients who wore their credit limits like crowns. I needed that job. My mother, Mama, had been sick for 8 months. Diabetes, kidney failure, complications the doctors listed in voices that sounded like invoices. My little sister, Sophia, was 14, smart, fierce, always asking why we couldn't afford her textbooks. I worked doubles when I could. Tied the kitchen scraps after closing, sent every spare peso home. That Tuesday started like any other. The evening shift smelled of grilled meat and impatience. Eugenio, the manager, walked the floor like a general inspecting troops, checking posture, adjusting our ties, making sure we addressed every patron as senor or senora, even when they snapped their fingers like we were dogs. I remember the weight of the tray in my hands that night, how my lower back ached from standing since noon. Carlos, the senior waiter, had called in sick, which meant I'd picked up his tables, 7 instead of 4. The kitchen was behind on orders. A couple at table 9 had sent back their steak twice. The woman kept saying it was too pedestrian for the price, whatever that meant. Eugenio loved nights like this. He'd hover behind us watching for mistakes, ready to pounce. I'd seen him reduce grown men to tears over a misplaced fork. He ran the restaurant like it was his personal kingdom, and we were all serfs who should be grateful for the privilege of exhaustion. Around 8, I was clearing a table near the entrance when I heard the commotion. An elderly woman had wandered in from the street. Her clothes were worn, a threadbare sweater with a hole near the collar, shoes with soles so thin I could see her socks through the gaps. Her hair hung in grey tangles around a face creased with age and confusion. She moved slowly, shuffling, her eyes unfocused, and she was mumbling something I couldn't catch. The hostess blocked her path. "Ma'am, this is a private establishment." The woman didn't seem to hear. She kept walking, gazing around the dining room like she recognized something. Her fingers reached out, almost touching a chair, then pulling back, like she was searching for a memory that wouldn't quite surface. That's when Eugenio appeared. "What is this?" His voice cut through the soft jazz on the speakers. Conversation stopped. Forks paused mid-air. The woman in pearls at table 3 pressed her napkin to her lips. The hostess whispered something. Eugenio's face went red, that particular shade he got when he felt his authority was being challenged. "You can't be here. This is not a shelter." The old woman blinked at him, her eyes swimming behind a fog. I know this place. You know nothing." He grabbed her elbow. Not gently. His fingers dug into her arm hard enough that she winced. "You're disturbing my clients." A man at table 6 coughed. Another couple looked away, suddenly fascinated by their wine glasses. I should have stayed quiet. I had rent to pay, medicine to buy, a sister who needed shoes. But watching him yank her toward the door, watching the way her confusion turned to fear, the way she tried to steady herself and nearly stumbled, something in me broke. "Eugenio." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Let me help her outside, carefully." He glared at me. The dining room went silent. Even the kitchen noise seemed to dim. "She's a vagrant, Manuel. Don't waste time. She's a person." The words hung in the air like smoke. I saw the woman in pearls nod at me almost imperceptibly. Carlos's replacement, a kid named Diego, stared at me like I'd just signed my death warrant. Eugenio released the old woman and stepped close to me. His breath was coffee and contempt. Up close I could see the vein pulsing in his temple, the way his jaw clenched. "You think you're noble? You think this matters?" "It matters to her." He laughed, short, bitter, the kind of laugh that had no humor in it. "Fine, be a hero, but you're working the rest of the shift for free. No tips, consider it a lesson in priority. My throat tightened. Tonight's tips were supposed to cover Mama's next prescription. The pharmacist had already extended credit twice. But I looked at the old woman, still trembling by the door, her eyes darting around like a trapped bird, and I couldn't walk away. "Understood," I said. I guided her outside gently, my hand on her shoulder. She was so light, so fragile, like a strong wind could carry her away. The street was loud, traffic, vendors calling out their wares, a radio crackling somewhere with a football match. Car horns blared. Someone was grilling corn on the corner, the smell of char and butter mixing with exhaust fumes. She kept touching the restaurant's brass handle like she was trying to remember something just out of reach. Her fingers traced the curves, the engraved letters. I remember. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Do you have somewhere to go?" She looked at me then, really looked, and for a second her eyes cleared. The fog lifted. She saw me. "You're kind. Just doing what's right. Most people don't." Her voice was soft, fractured, like a music box winding down. "They see the surface. They forget we all have stories. We all used to be someone." I didn't know what to say to that. The words felt heavy, true in a way I couldn't quite name. I asked if she needed money for a taxi. She shook her head, smiled, sad and distant and somehow ancient, and shuffled down the block. I watched her go until she turned the corner, disappearing into the city's neon glow. I went back inside. Eugenio was waiting by the bar, arms crossed, a satisfied smirk on his face. "That was touching," he said. "Truly. Now get back to work." The rest of the shift was a blur. I served tables, refilled glasses, smiled until my face hurt. Table 9 finally accepted their steak. Table 3, the woman in pearls, left a note with her receipt. "Thank you for your compassion." But no tip. Eugenio made sure of that. At the end of the night, the other waiters divided the tip pool. We usually did it in the back, counting out bills, splitting them evenly. Tonight, Eugenio stood beside the register, arms crossed, watching like a hawk. "Manuel gets nothing," as agreed. Carlos, one of the senior waiters who'd been there longer than anyone, frowned. He was a good man, father of 3. "Come on, Eugenio, the kid earned—" I said nothing. I counted out my table receipts anyway. 300 pesos. Not much, but enough. Enough for the prescription, maybe some rice and beans for dinner. I reached for my share. Eugenio slapped my hand away. Hard. My palm stung. "You chose her over the customers. Live with it." My chest burned. She wasn't hurting anyone. She was a liability. Bad for business, bad for the atmosphere. He leaned closer. "And now so are you." "What?" He smiled. Thin. Cold. "You're fired, Manuel. Clean out your locker." I don't employ insubordinate children who think they know better than management. The kitchen went silent. Someone dropped a ladle. It clanged like a bell, echoing in the sudden stillness. "Eugenio, please." My voice cracked. I hated how desperate I sounded, but I couldn't help it. "My mother, she needs medicine. My sister needs—" "Your mother is not my problem." He turned away, dismissing me with a wave. "Out. Now, before I call security." Diego helped me clean out my locker. He didn't say anything, just stood there while I stuffed my extra shirt and my notepad into a plastic bag. My hands were shaking. I could barely tie the bag closed. "I'm sorry, man," he whispered. "Not your fault. Still, that was brave. What you did." I didn't feel brave. I felt stupid and scared and so tired. I walked home in a daze. The city at night smelled like frying oil and exhaust. Street vendors were packing up. A dog barked somewhere. The buses rumbled past, their windows bright and full of people heading home to families, to dinner, to safety. My phone buzzed. Sophia asking if I'd bring dinner. I didn't answer. I had 40 pesos in my pocket. Not enough for food, not enough for medicine, not enough for anything. The pharmacy was on my way. I stopped outside, staring at the bright lights. Inside, the pharmacist was restocking shelves, his movements methodical. Mr. Torres. He'd been kind to us, more patient than he needed to be. His daughter had been sick once too, he understood. I went in. The bell above the door chimed. "Manuel, the usual. Can I pay you back Friday?" He shook his head slowly and I could see the apology in his eyes. "I can't. Policy. The owner's been cracking down, I'm sorry. She really needs it. Her levels have been all over the place." His expression softened. He set down the box he was holding. "I know, kid. I wish I could help, but my hands are tied. If I give credit to everyone who needs it." He trailed off. I nodded and left. The pavement felt unsteady under my feet. Or maybe that was just me. 2 blocks from home, I cut through the alley behind the market, a shortcut I'd taken 1,000 times. Narrow, dark, lined with dumpsters and delivery crates, usually empty this time of night. Not tonight. 2 men stepped out of the shadows. One had a knife. The blade caught the streetlight, silver and thin. The other was bigger, broad-shouldered, wearing a hoodie despite the heat. "Wallet." I raised my hands. "I don't have anything." "Liar." The big one shoved me against the wall. The brick scraped my back through my shirt. They rifled through my pockets, took my phone, took the 40 pesos. One of them, the one with the knife, punched me in the stomach. Just because. Because they could. Because I was there. I doubled over, gasping, the world spinning. They left me there, their footsteps echoing down the alley, fading into the city's constant hum. I sat on the curb for a long time, trying to breathe, trying to think. My stomach ached. My phone was gone. The world felt very cold and very small. Above me, a streetlight flickered, buzzing like an angry insect. That's when I saw it. A white envelope, half hidden under a cardboard box someone had tossed near the dumpster. I almost didn't pick it up, almost walked past. But something, curiosity, desperation, some instinct I couldn't name, made me reach for it. Inside, cash. A lot of cash. I counted it twice, hands shaking under the dim streetlight. 5,000 pesos, more money than I'd seen in months, maybe more than I'd ever held at once. No name, no address, no note, just bills, crisp and clean, folded neatly. My first thought was, Mama, medicine, the surgery the doctors said she needed but we couldn't afford, food, Sophia's books, rent. Everything I needed, right here in my hands. A miracle, an answer. My second thought was the old woman at the restaurant. They see the surface. They forget we all have stories. I closed the envelope, stood there in that alley, alone, holding someone else's lifeline. I spent the next day searching. I went back to the alley first thing in the morning, before the vendors set up. I asked everyone I could find. The man who sold newspapers on the corner. The woman who ran the fruit stand. The teenagers who hung out by the bus stop. Did you lose an envelope? White envelope this big? Blank stares. Shrugs. One woman looked at me like I was trying to scam her. I went to the pharmacy. Mr. Torres was opening up. Did anyone come in yesterday asking about lost money? No. Why? No reason. I checked the community center, posted on the bulletin board, searched online lost and found groups. Nothing. No one claiming it. No one even looking. By afternoon, Sophia called. Manu, Mama's worse. She couldn't get out of bed this morning. She's asking for you. I'm coming. I took the bus home. Watched the city slide past the grimy windows. Families, couples, a woman holding a baby. Everyone had somewhere to be, someone waiting for them. Everyone had their own weight to carry. At home, Mama was pale, her breathing shallow. Sophia sat beside her, holding her hand. She looked up when I came in, her eyes red. What happened to your phone? Stolen. Manu? It's fine, I'm fine. But I wasn't. The envelope sat heavy in my jacket pocket. I could feel it there, pulling at me like an anchor. I could end this, right now. Walk to the pharmacy, buy everything we needed. No one would ever know. Mama opened her eyes. Mijo. I'm here, Mama. You look troubled. I tried to smile. Just tired. She squeezed my hand. Her grip was so weak now. Nothing like it used to be. When I was small, she could carry me on her back all day, laughing, tireless. Now she could barely lift a glass. You're a good boy, she whispered. Always have been. Don't let the world make you hard. I stayed with her until she fell asleep. Then I went back outside, walked the streets, thought about everything. By evening I was back at the alley, pacing. The money sat heavy in my pocket. I could still use it. No one would know. Mama was getting worse. Sophia had called twice more, scared, saying Mama couldn't keep food down. The doctors wanted to run more tests. Tests that cost money we didn't have. I thought about keeping it, I really did. Stood there in that alley under that flickering streetlight and imagined walking away, using it, saving my mother, giving Sophia a childhood that didn't taste like poverty. But then I remembered the old woman's eyes, the way she'd looked at me like I was something good in a world that had stopped caring, the way she'd said, We all have stories. This money was someone's story too, someone's hope, someone's emergency. I couldn't do it. I sat on the curb, head in my hands, and prayed, something I hadn't done since I was small, since before Papa left, that whoever lost this would come back for it, that I wouldn't have to choose between my integrity and my mother's life. An hour passed. The sky went purple, then black. Stars tried to shine through the city's light pollution. Failed. A cat yowled in the distance. Then I heard footsteps, rapid, uneven. Someone running. A man appeared at the end of the alley, tall, maybe 50, wearing a coat despite the heat. Sweat stained his collar. He was scanning the ground, shoulders tight with worry, his movements frantic. "Excuse me," I called. "Are you looking for something?" He turned, eyes wide, desperate. "Yes, an envelope, white. I dropped it here yesterday. It had 5,000 pesos?" He nearly collapsed. Grabbed the wall for support. "Yes. God, yes. Do you have it?" I stood and handed it to him. He opened it with shaking hands, checked the contents, counted quickly, then looked at me like I'd performed a miracle. You kept it safe. It's not mine. Most people would have..." He stopped, shook his head in disbelief. "Most people would have taken it and run. You have no idea what this means, what you've just saved. Can I ask, why were you carrying that much cash?" His face clouded. Pain flickered across his features. "My mother. She's sick. Alzheimer's. She wandered off yesterday afternoon. I was looking for her, frantic, running all over the neighborhood. I must have dropped this when I was checking near the dumpsters. Without it, I can't afford her medication, the specialized care she needs." The air left my lungs. "Your mother," I said slowly. Was she near Restaurant Mirador?" His eyes sharpened, fixed on me. "Yes. How did you—" "I helped her, last night, around 8. He stared. Then he grabbed my shoulder, his grip tight, almost painful. "You're the waiter, the one who defended her, who stopped that bastard from dragging her out. Eugenio threw her out. I couldn't let him treat her like that. And he fired you for it." I blinked. "How do you know?" "Because Eugenio called me this morning, bragging. He thought I'd be impressed that he cleaned up the restaurant, maintained standards. He laughed about firing you. Laughed." His jaw tightened, muscles jumping. "He didn't know she was my mother. Didn't know she's Evarista Alcazar, the owner." The world tilted. The alley spun. "What? The Alcazar family built Mirador 30 years ago. My mother and my late father started it from nothing. She still technically owns it, though she can't manage it anymore. The disease..." He swallowed hard. "She wanders sometimes, forgets where she is. Yesterday, she must have remembered the restaurant, thought she still worked there. Thought it was 30 years ago and she was opening up for dinner service." His voice broke. "And Eugenio dragged her out like trash, like she was nothing." I couldn't speak. My mind was racing, trying to process. "And you," he continued, his voice rough with emotion. "You stood up for her, lost your job, then found my money, 5,000 pesos that could have solved all your problems, and you returned it, even though you clearly need it, even though you have every reason to take it. What's your name?" "Manuel. Manuel!" He held out his hand. His grip was firm, warm. "I'm Sebastian Alcazar, and I need you to come with me, right now." An hour later, I was sitting in an office I'd never been allowed to enter, the executive suite above the restaurant. Leather chairs, mahogany desk, windows overlooking the entire city, glittering and vast. Sebastian made calls. His voice was sharp, commanding. Lawyers appeared, accountants in pressed suits. The general manager of the entire chain, a severe woman named Patricia, who I'd only seen once in photographs. Eugenio was summoned. I heard him on the stairs, his footsteps confident. He walked in smirking, thinking he'd been called to discuss quarterly profits or expansion plans. When he saw me sitting there, his smirk died. "What's this?" Sebastian stood. He was taller than Eugenio, broader. His presence filled the room. "This is your termination." "What? For what?" "For assaulting the company's owner, for abusing staff, for creating a hostile work environment, for every violation we've documented over the past year." He slid a folder across the desk. Papers spilled out. Complaints. Documented incidents. "You're done, Eugenio." Eugenio's face went white, then red. "You can't. She was a vagrant. A homeless woman disrupting..." She is my mother, Evarista Alcazar, the founder of this restaurant, the woman whose vision built everything you've profited from." The room went silent. Even the lawyers stopped shuffling papers. "And this man," Sebastian gestured to me, "showed her more respect in 5 minutes than you have in 5 years. He defended her, protected her, lost his job for it, then found and returned 5,000 pesos that belonged to my family when he desperately needed it himself. I was just maintaining standards. You were being cruel. There's a difference. Security will escort you out. You have 1 hour to collect your belongings. If you're still in this building after that, I'll have you arrested for trespassing." Eugenio turned pale. His hands trembled. As they led him away, he shot me a look of pure hatred. "You'll regret this. You think you're better than me? You're nobody. A nothing waiter who got lucky. He's twice the man you'll ever be," Sebastian said quietly. "Now get out." The door closed. Silence settled over the office like dust. Sebastian turned to me. "Manuel, I want to offer you something. A management position. You'll oversee the floor, train staff, ensure no one, absolutely no one, is ever treated the way my mother was. You'll rebuild the culture here. Make it what it should have been all along." I couldn't breathe. "Why me?" "Because kindness like yours is rare. Because you made the right choice when it would have been so easy to do the wrong thing. Because my mother saw something in you in 5 minutes that I need in this restaurant permanently. I don't have experience managing. You have something better. Character. I can teach you business. I can't teach you to be decent. That's either there or it isn't." He paused. "And Manuel? I'm paying for your mother's surgery. All of it. The medication. The follow-up care. Whatever she needs." My vision blurred. "I can't accept." "You already did. The moment you gave back that envelope." He smiled, genuine, warm. "Let me do this, please. You gave me back something far more valuable than money. You gave me back faith that good people still exist." Mama had her operation 2 weeks later. Successful. The surgeon said she'd need months of recovery, physical therapy, careful monitoring, but she'd live, she'd get better. Sophia cried when I told her, held onto me so tight I thought she'd crack my ribs. We moved into a better apartment, one with windows that let in light, where the walls weren't stained, and the ceiling didn't leak when it rained. Sophia got her own room, her textbooks, a desk where she could study without the noise of neighbors screaming through thin walls. At the restaurant I changed things, slowly, gently. I couldn't fix everything overnight, but I started. I trained the staff to see people, not obstacles, to treat everyone, guests, co-workers, the delivery drivers, the woman who cleaned the bathrooms, with dignity. I fired 2 waiters who refused to change, who thought the old ways were fine. I promoted Diego to assistant manager. Carlos pulled me aside one day. "You're doing good, kid, really good." "I'm just trying to be fair." "That's rare. Hold on to it." I instituted a new policy, 1 free meal per shift for staff. Real food, not scraps. I increased wages where I could. Started a tip pool that was actually fair, where everyone contributed and everyone benefited based on hours worked. The restaurant changed. Slowly. You could feel it in the air. Less tension, more laughter. Customers noticed. Reviews improved. Sebastian would visit sometimes, checking in, watching me work. "You're a natural," he said one evening. "I'm terrified most of the time." He laughed. "That means you care. The day you stop being scared is the day you stop trying." One evening, 3 months after I started, a woman came in. Designer clothes, perfect makeup, heels that probably cost more than my month's rent. Laura, my ex-girlfriend. She'd left me 6 months earlier, said I had no ambition, no future, said she couldn't be with someone who'd never amount to anything. "Manuel?" She smiled, bright and fake. The smile I used to think was beautiful. "I heard you're doing well. Managing the whole place now." "I am." That's amazing. I always knew you had potential." She touched my arm. Her perfume was different, expensive. "Maybe we could talk, catch up? I've been thinking about us." I looked at her, and I felt nothing. No anger, no bitterness, just nothing. "I don't think so." Her smile cracked. "But I made a mistake. I see that now. We were good together. We weren't." I kept my voice gentle, not cruel, just honest. "You left when things got hard, when my mom got sick and money was tight. You said I wasn't enough. And you were right. I wasn't enough for you. But I'm exactly what I need to be for the people who matter. Manuel, I'm exactly where I need to be, I said quietly. And I'm here because I chose to be a good person, not because I needed validation from someone who couldn't see value in kindness. She left without another word. Diego, who'd witnessed the exchange from behind the bar, gave me a subtle nod. That night, I closed up alone, walked through the empty dining room, turning off lights. The restaurant at night was different, peaceful, almost sacred. I thought about everything that had happened, how close I'd come to a different path. That weekend, I visited Sebastian and his mother. They lived in a house with a garden, trees that shaded the windows, birds that sang in the morning. Evarista didn't always remember me, but sometimes, just sometimes, she'd smile and say, "You're the kind one." It was enough. Sebastian and I became friends, real friends. He told me stories about building the restaurant, about his mother's vision, how she'd insisted from the beginning that they serve everyone with dignity, that food was more than business. It was connection, comfort, home. She lived that, he said one afternoon. We were sitting in the garden drinking coffee. Even now, when she can't remember my name, she remembers that. The feeling of it, the importance. She gave me more than she knows, I admitted. And you gave her dignity when no one else would. That matters, Manuel. That matters more than you think. I thought about the envelope, the choice I'd made in that alley, how close I'd come to keeping it, how easy it would have been. I almost didn't give it back, I admitted. I stood there for so long thinking about my mom, my sister, thinking about how much easier everything would be. But you did give it back. Barely. Barely counts. Almost doesn't. He leaned forward. You know what separates good people from everyone else? It's not that temptation doesn't exist. It's that they choose differently when it does. Every single person faces those moments. The ones who matter are the ones who choose right when it's hard. We sat in silence for a while. A bird landed on the fence, cocked its head, flew away. My father used to say something, Sebastian continued. He said the world doesn't need more successful people. It needs more good people. And if you can be both, then you change everything. I'm not changing everything. You changed my mother's last days. You changed my faith in humanity. You changed the restaurant. You changed yourself. He smiled. That's not nothing, Manuel. That's everything. A year later, Mama was healthy. Not perfect. She'd always have limitations, always need medication, but healthy. She could walk without getting winded, could cook again, could smile without pain behind her eyes. Sophia was top of her class, talking about university, about becoming a doctor. She had dreams again and the confidence to chase them. The restaurant thrived. We'd opened a second location. I was overseeing both now, training new managers in the philosophy I'd learned. See people, treat them with dignity. Remember that everyone carries stories you'll never know. I still worked the floor sometimes, still served tables when we were short-staffed, still remembered where I came from. One night, an older man came in alone, shabby coat, nervous energy. The hostess started to turn him away. We had a reservation list. The dining room was full. I intervened. We'll find space. But we'll find space. I sat him at a small table by the window, brought him water myself. He ordered the cheapest item on the menu, and I made sure the kitchen gave him double portions. When he left, he tried to tip me 20 pesos. I wouldn't take it. Thank you, he said. His eyes were wet. You have no idea what this meant. I think I do. After he left, Diego came over. That was his whole week's budget, probably. I know. You're gonna go broke if you keep doing this. I smiled. Then I'll go broke. But I'll sleep fine. I still work at Mirador. I still see people walk in, some hungry, some lonely, some just passing through. Rich ones, poor ones, everyone in between. And I remember, every face has a story. Every person carries something we can't see. Every moment is a choice. The night I met Evarista, I thought I was losing everything. But I was actually finding the only thing that matters, the ability to choose kindness when the world makes it hard, when it costs something, when it would be easier to look away. I think about that white envelope sometimes, about standing in that alley alone, holding someone else's hope, about how close I came to a different choice, a different life. But I chose right, and that choice led to everything else, to Mama's health, to Sophia's future, to a career that feeds me, body and soul, to friendships built on respect, not fear, to looking in the mirror and recognizing the man staring back. Sebastian was right. The world doesn't need more successful people. It needs more good people. And if you can be both, if you can achieve something while staying decent, while remembering that success means nothing if it requires you to abandon your humanity, then you change everything. Not in some grand, world-shaking way, but in the small moments, the daily choices, the decision to see someone else's pain and respond with compassion instead of contempt, the courage to stand up when everyone else is looking down, the strength to return what isn't yours, even when taking it would solve everything. That's what matters. That's what lasts. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to believe that good people still exist, that kindness still matters, that choosing right when it's hard is the only success that actually counts. Subscribe to this channel. Some stories aren't just told, they're lived. And maybe, just maybe, your story is next. Because in the end, we're all just trying to find our way home. And sometimes the smallest act of decency is the light that guides us there, not just for the person we help, but for ourselves, for the people we become when we refuse to let the world make us hard. I'm Manuel. I'm a manager at a restaurant where kindness isn't a policy, it's a way of life. And every single day I remember, the measure of a person isn't what they do when everyone's watching. It's what they choose when they're alone in an alley, holding more money than they've ever seen, with every reason to keep it and no one who'd ever know. That's the moment that defines us. And I'm grateful, every single day, for the choice I made. Tentar novamente o Claude pode cometer erros. Confira sempre as respostas. Sonnet 4.5